allegiance first. And would you lead us in the pledge? It's okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now you all get to turn around, and they are going to lead us. Okay.
You're welcome to join in. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Okay, am I the only one who has tears in their eyes? Can I just say, can we give them another round of applause, please? You folks are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your talent with all of us. Whew, okay.
Can we do a motion to have them come every meeting?
No, because then it would run, my mascara would be running at every meeting, for Pete's sakes, because I get all teary-eyed over that. All right, let's see, I have to look at because now I'm all verklempt. We have a celebration of excellence, Mr. Medanski.
Yes, we do, Madam Chair. And so tonight is always, every year, it's an annual honor for us to welcome our Southington Teacher of the Year to one of our Board of Education meetings to be celebrated. This year's Teacher of the Year is Kimberly Padroff, who's with us tonight. Now, Kimberly, before I invite you up, I have to ask, there was a story in the paper about a bunch of kids who just dropped into your house this summer. Are they here tonight? Oh, because they seem to just follow you everywhere you go. And these were former students from several years back, which goes to show you that a bunch of kids in the summertime decided to find their teacher and visit her, and these were kids far removed from her classroom from several years ago. So a lot of when you're a Teacher of the Year, it's because you make a lasting impact. And so that was clear to me that day, and it was even more clear to me the day that I got to bring you the news and just watch the kids in your class glow with pride. And so with that said, I would like to invite you up to our podium. And we also have tonight Representative Poulos and Representative Veach here for a special presentation for you, and Mrs. Clark.
Yeah, our sons went to school together.
Yeah, how many years ago was that? Yeah, just a couple, one or two. But I can remember, is it University of Bridgeport that you went and got? Okay, so I can remember during the summer, watching you up at Mountain Grove with books and things, studying to become, and I said, what you were like a role model to me, because I had little ones, and I was like, do I want to go back and be a teacher? And I watched you go through the process. And then I used to see you driving home from work in your blue convertible. Was it a Mustang?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Driving home with her hair blowing in the wind after a long day, and you were smiling. You were always about kids. And that, to me, was an indication of what a dynamite teacher I knew you were going to be, and now this year just affirms it. So I want to say congratulations, my old friend,
Thank you.
on being Teacher of the Year.
Thank you so much.
Representative Beach and Phyllis, come on down. Oh, we also have the plaque, I thought they were giving you an award. Okay.
We
Sure.
have two.
We have two, okay.
Oh, my
Okay.
goodness.
Sure, okay. Step on your toes. Oh, you won't step on my toes, Representative Beach. Certificate of Excellence presented to you, Kimberly Padroff. Having duly qualified under the standards prescribed by Southington Public Schools, you are hereby awarded the Certificate of Excellence for the 2025 District Teacher of the Year. How cool are you? In witness whereof, the seal of the Southington Board of Education and the signature of the Board of Education Chairperson and the Superintendent of Schools are hereunto affixed on this 25th day of September, 2025. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well done, ladies. Well done.
I first want to congratulate you.
Thank you so
This
much.
is a wonderful, can you hear me there? This is a wonderful accomplishment, and I can't imagine. Being a teacher is such a hard, difficult thing to do, and clearly, you've put 150% into it. And the students that sang tonight, beautiful. I'm not sure if you've ever had her for a teacher, but I think that this is a true testament to what Southington does with the children that they teach. I mean, this is fantastic. Rep. Poulos and I are very pleased to present you with this General Assembly citation, okay? Myself, Rebecca Martinez, Senator Sampson, Gail Mastrofrancesco, and of course, Rep. Poulos. And I know Rep. Poulos is a good friend of yours as well, and you do things, outside of this realm, if you will. So would you like to share this with me?
Yeah, why don't
Go
you read
ahead.
it?
Okay,
Read that.
I gotta put my glasses on.
I don't have mine.
Yeah, okay. So, this is in recognition of your outstanding dedication, creativity, and impact as an educator. As a fourth grade teacher at Hatton Elementary School, your passion for student learning, commitment to excellence, and ability to inspire those around you have made a lasting difference in the lives of your students and the greater Southington school community. Congratulations on being named the 2025-2026 Teacher of the Year. What an accomplishment. An honor truly earned and well-deserved. And the entire membership extends its very best wishes on this memorable occasion and expresses the hope for continued success. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think if you look over there, we got a picture.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
just want to share with
Thank you
one
so much.
additional piece of news. We learned, not last week, the week before, that Ms. Padroff has also been moved on as a state semifinalist for Teacher of the Year in the state of Connecticut. So it's not over yet.
Yeah,
I just want, yeah, it's great news.
thank you.
I just want to share a few words because I know Mrs. Padroff outside of school, and a little bit about the Teacher of the Year process. Becoming a semifinalist is a great honor. It's a huge honor. So the way the process works is there's over 100 Teachers of the Year from different districts around our state, and she was selected as one of 16 to advance to this stage. And she had to go to an interview, and it was an interview in front of about probably 20 people.
21.
All 21?
21.
21, right? And you have all the representatives from the Superintendent's Association, the Board of Education Association, the Principals Association, the teachers' unions, and a whole bunch of former state Teachers of the Year. And I know this process is rigorous because I went through it in 2007 myself. And to get there is just quite an accomplishment. And what the benefit of that is now she'll be enrolled in 1 year of professional development activities where she'll learn with that cohort of 16 people throughout the course of this school year, going into next. So I know the good superintendent and his staff are going to give her the leave time she needs to participate in that professional development, and maybe a colleague if she gets to bring a guest. You know, I'll just say this. We all know that Kim has great accolades. She's got these awards. She's written grants. I helped her at one point with a grant where that she earned to be able to study in Spain. And we know that her colleagues respect her, that she helps her colleagues. But what makes Kim a true success is that her students and the parents of her students knows she cares. And when kids know that you care, they do well. And when kids do well, they're able to live the lives they dream. And Kim over here is making that happen. So congratulations, Kim. I'm so proud to
Thank
know
you,
you
Chris.
and congratulate you.
Thank you. Thank you. No, thank you. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank you for this honor, and my students inspire me every single day, and I absolutely adore all my colleagues, and you bring meaning into everybody's life, all the children in Southington, and the whole community, and I love where I work. I love teaching in Southington. Thank you very much.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess so that the board members can come down, congratulate Kim, congratulate the singers who did an awesome job. You made me cry. Hope you're happy. Do not feel that you have to stay. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting, unless, of course, you want to. You are always welcome to stay here. So thank you all. So if you want to come down, folks.
Take 5. about what we do about all that. So I thought I would make some recommendations. The first one is that we improve and increase the amount of training that our classroom teachers get about identifying students with special needs. They don't receive a lot of that training, through no fault of the district, by the way. That's pretty much across the board everywhere. The second one is they receive better training in what to do when they have a number of issues in the classroom. I've been contacted by teachers who tell me they've sometimes had one student who acted out or whatever, and now they may have 3 or 4, and it becomes complicated. Again, they don't get a lot of training in that, so I would recommend that we improve the training in that. And the third one is that we make sure we have adequate staff in the support personnel. That's the social workers, the guidance counselors, the school psychologists, even the classroom teachers. Not only do we have the adequate staff, but we make sure we vet those people, and we get the highest quality we can get to do those services. So those are 3 recommendations. They won't solve it, but I think they will make the situation a lot better than we now face. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the board? No? Okay. Mr. Medancy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Several items tonight. So one is just on the good news front. Our digital learning coordinator, Rebecca Savokal, had applied for a grant through the Barnes Foundation for $11,000 and received it. And this is going to allow us to do coding with VEX robots at all of our elementary schools, starting simultaneously. We were originally thinking we might need to phase it in because of having to purchase the various equipment for each school. So we're very excited about that. Yesterday, I had a chance to attend the Family Consumer Science Advisory Luncheon. We talked a little bit about the career pathways that exist at the high school, food and nutrition. It's the hospitality pathway, but food and nutrition, baking essentials, food production, and culinary arts. We have 48 students enrolled in food and nutrition. We have 207 students enrolled in baking essentials, 94 in food production, and 24 students are enrolled in the culinary arts programs. Also, they're working with the students to provide them to get the credentials that they'd be able to work in restaurants to get the it's the equivalent of the ServSafe certification, but it's an online program that they use. But, restaurants would look for that because it's one less thing that they have to train, prospective employees for. So we were happy about that. And then we also talked about the Family Resource Center and the Intro to Teaching class and different ways that we can get our students. There was a young lady there that I spoke with at length that really wanted the Intro Teaching class to run this year, and it didn't because there was only 5 students that had registered for it. So a lot of it has to do with it's run during what would be early dismissal for seniors. So if the choice is to go home or take another class, that's part of it. And the other part is not all kids can drive to, an elementary school, let's say, to get some of the practical observation work done. So we talked about ways of working around that as well and different access points. And then lastly, the Family Resource Center, how, regardless of the bell schedule, if you cycled kids in let's say, the child development course on, let's say, a full session from 9 to 12, but you did it 2 to 3 times over a semester, the kids get the full experience of everything from the play to the storytelling to the sing-along and potentially some of the outdoor activities. And so they would get more of an experience that doesn't rely on the bell schedule, and it's like an in-school field trip. I know you may have heard the term before, but they would be excused from the classes they miss on that day because of their enrollment in this course, with the understanding, like out of school field trips, you got to make up your work on those days. But really trying to make the bell schedule less of an obstacle so we can get more of an experience for those students. Additionally, we have update on the strategic plan. Met with the steering committee for a final, a last pull of the accordion, if you will, on Monday the 22nd, and we'll be bringing the first draft to the board on October 9th for a first read. And then our hopes is that the board would be prepared to adopt it at the second board meeting of the month in October. I believe that was October 25th. Actually, October 23rd, I apologize. Operation Stay Warm, Rosemary Salerno and Southington Community Services is holding an open house at Plantsville Congregational Church on October 1st. Last year, it was amazing, both the amount of donations that the community provided, They take all of the hats, the gloves, the coats, get them all dry cleaned, and then they get them all arranged by size, by, boys' jackets, girls' jackets, male, female, and the whole gamut. And so it's a tremendous success in the community. And last year they provided hundreds of warm coats to families in the community. I'll be attending with my leadership team of literacy folks the statewide Dyslexia Awareness Collaborative kickoff on October 7th. That'll be at from 5:30 to 8 at CERC. It's not at CERC, sponsored by CERC, but it's going to be at UConn Waterbury campus. So looking forward to that, and it kind of leads into some of the work I've talked with you in the past about an elementary reading academy. And then lastly, I want to invite Mr. McKee up, because we have a bit of good news, an exciting development in terms of being able to stream athletic events for our families, not just for football, as you may have heard. That's something we've always done, but this might allow us to stream for all of our games. So with that said, I'll turn it over to our new athletic director, Mr. McKee.
Good evening. So we have a great opportunity through partnership with the National Federation of High Schools and Pixel Cameras to get 2 cameras brought to the high school for live streaming. One would go on a stadium on a turf field, and the other one would go in the West Gym. Some of the benefits of that is national exposure. So if a parent's working at 3:45 or 3 o'clock, they can't get out, the game will automatically live stream, and they'll be able to get on their tablet or on their camera or on their computer, it would be for all levels, freshman, JV, varsity, so it's not just limited to just varsity. If robotics is in there having a competition, we could turn the stream on for them. We could turn the stream on for the band if they're practicing, or their big events. It could go on for graduation. So there's a lot of benefits that go to it. There is no conflict. So if the student broadcast, it's automatically, the schedules are booked in the back end of the system. So there's no one manually doing it. It turns on automatically. If the student broadcast team wanted to broadcast continuously, there would be no violation of rights. They could still do their own streaming. We could partner with kids, and they could do live broadcasts through the system. So there is some grants involved, and well as that. In regards to, I know it comes up with privacy. With these cameras in the gym or in the turf field, do they turn on when teachers are teaching? They're not on. So if a game's at 3:30, they automatically come at 3:30. It's not like someone's watching at all times, and we can control that. And I think finally, last thing is in regards to revenue. How does that affect people coming to the games and stuff like that? Will stop people coming from the events. The NFHS has, through all their subscribers, they find that 80% of their viewers live 15 to 20 miles away from the event. So it's not like someone, we're taking away from people who come to the event. So, any questions in regards to streaming? Yes.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
As someone who coached one of these, are baseball and softball able to be filmed, or is that out of the range of the cameras?
Yeah, so those are 2 different cameras. So for this whole system, they're gonna give it to me for free. So it's a $10,000 value. They're gonna install for free, do all the work. They are gonna work with me on a deal. If baseball, softball want to put cameras up, it's a different kind of system. So I'm working with both of those teams if they want to do it, because there's an extra cost involved. Because again, there's the added of, the benefits I've seen this in the past is all the grandparents who go down south, they get to watch their grandkids still on their, stay in touch. College coaches, no one's ever out and about, so they'll just go on and find a game. So currently this fall, there's 24 away games for Sellington right now on the NFHS network. For our fall, if we have it for the entire fall, we'd have 58 games on top of that for fall. So approximately. So we'll be up in the high 70s, 80s for multiple levels. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Bob, college coaches can can get onto this
Yep.
network to look at prospects or potential.
100%. So they'll get a subscription. So like I'll get it, and they'll be able to turn on they can watch a game from Georgia right now. They can watch a game from whoever has it. There's multiple teams. There's a lot of schools in our conference that have it. So anyone has it. And then parents could also create highlights and clips themselves and create a little library for themselves if they want to help advocate for their kids to go to college. And it also gives the coaches get free breakdown their films. They'll get the recordings. So there's a lot of benefits on the coach in the back end that they get as well that could help prepare them for games in the future.
Awesome. Sean?
Just a question on connectivity. What's the access required to the district's internet, and are we set up to to maintain and provide that bandwidth?
Right, yeah, so, I've been in touch with Kyle Savage, with IT. I ran it through him first to see if it was, he was on the initial calls to see if it could work. They are gonna provide free satellite, I don't know the exact names, but it's almost like a satellite where it's gonna help shoot the Wi-Fi and help in those areas, those trouble areas out towards the fields, to make sure we have the connectivity, because they're gonna provide that all for free too, so.
They do use low bandwidth cameras, so that'll help.
Awesome, awesome. Any other questions?
No, I'm sure I'll be able to do the streaming.
So easy, Mrs.
I'll give you an access
You'll
code.
have to help me, okay?
You got it.
Okay,
You
thank
know what's nice about that too, in terms of, there are many kids that can afford the travel programs and
That's
the AAU
great.
programs and all that, but there are many kids that can't. And so their high school season is their opportunity to showcase themselves. And so, my own children have gone through high school that have systems like this, and their
Yeah.
games, the coaches right now, they're not coming to games, but if you reach out to them and say, I'm interested in your school, they say, send me your game film. Well, you have to have that game film for that to happen, right? And so this is an example of where kids can get provided with that, that tool for equity. And I also think for coaches, it's a heck of an incentive. Like if things aren't going great in the game, whether you're frustrated with yourself, a team, whatever, your body language speaks volumes, and you never know who's watching. So.
I'm just thinking of the videos that we used to have to make for students. I'm thinking my two sons in football or volleyball. Joe, you had a
And do
question?
the college games too. I can get my
Yeah,
grandchildren's college games.
well, if they
too.
have,
That's great.
if they're on the network, yeah.
So two questions. So to sort of build off of Mr. Brown, so it's great that we're looking into other streaming abilities for softball and baseball. Because of the grant or the fact that we're able to get the system for free, is there any cost benefit to try and do everything all at once? And would this be an indication for, potentially a public-private partnership? And then I guess my second question is, do we have, and this is just me trying to figure out information, as of right now, is there anyone in the athletic director's office that can help kids if they have an interest in making their film when submitting to college applications and coaches and things like that? Or is that potentially something that, we could maybe start working on now that we have a system to be able to do that?
So the system does a lot of the editing and highlights. It's amazing how it does it. My daughter will play in a game, and then she'll get later that night a video of highlights of just her, along with her stats.
Is that like AI driven? Or is
It's a combination of AI, but it's also they actually have kids college kids and wherever they are out in the universe that get paid to stat games. And you get your report back. But it's part of obviously, on the flip side for them, like sometimes if you're watching, they'll do a commercial for an NCAA clearinghouse or NFHS network, where the world action is at, that kind of thing. But the kids get that. That's of no cost to them. The kids are also super savvy in splicing out their own films right now. I mean, they're probably more savvy than we are in terms of creating it. My daughter created a film for Coach that on her own. But also the coaches are pretty savvy now too to it, because a lot of them have access to the system. Our coaches will obviously have a learning curve because this is new for us, but I think it's something that will definitely be a benefit to the kids.
And just thinking in the future, I mean, we always talk about real world applications and things like that. I mean, I know that we have, the students that take AV, photography, that type of thing. This could be a really neat opportunity
Yeah.
for, again, maybe the kids don't necessarily play sports, but get them into almost like an, ESPN role
Yeah,
type thing,
yeah.
where they're, learning about
Yeah.
how to navigate
Yep.
filming for a game.
And just to piggyback what you asked about, what can we do to help kids in the process of college and stuff like that. So working with Jen DeSenza in the counseling department, she purchased core course GPA for the district. So it's free for the kids. She bought the license, so it's a program used to. So it helps it's a guide that helps families, that helps them making sure that they're taking the core course they need for to play in college at the Division I, II level. And part of that program, kids could create a recruiting profile. So it's a one-stop shop, gives their, the GPAs, the core GPAs, SATs. Then you could put your highlights on there, anything you want, your contacts, and then there's a lot of resources in there about questions to ask coaches, what to be prepared for, and how to plan it. So it's a lot of stuff that I've given the families. I spoke to at my first meeting with my parents in the fall. So hopefully kids use it, because it's a great resource if you really tap into it.
And I think one last piece of information is you can either, watch the game for it's a nominal fee to purchase like a viewing rights for a particular game. It's very small, smaller than the tickets would be if you were actually going to the game. Or you can buy, at Car Family, we just buy a season pass because everybody wants to watch the game, so we just buy a season pass, which is, again, very small. It would be a lot smaller if you went, but it is a source of revenue, too, because it doesn't cost us anything for the system, but we do get a source of revenue from when people do pay to stream, which could help us with some of the turf replacement down the road.
Yeah, so right now the cost is $14 a month, free cancellation, and we would get 10% of that, of the viewers, and then if they went for a full year, which would be $79, we would get 20% of that. So, yep. So it's another ad, and then we could do they could do sponsorships on they do watermarks and sponsorships. So it's something that the athletic department could help streamline and create some revenue that way too. So,
Excellent. Okay.
all right.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKee. And that concludes my administrative report tonight.
Okay. Any questions of the superintendent?
Is he the football coach? Who is that?
That's the athletic director.
What?
Athletic director.
He's new.
She was looking for Mr. Risser,
I
so.
thought he was the football coach. I don't know.
Okay, okay, no problem.
It looks
No-
like he could be.
Yes, he does look. You're still in shape, Bob. Okay, communicate, yes, yeah,
Just for Mr. Superintendent?
okay.
In regard to the streaming services, how long or robust is that contract, if any, for the new service that we have coming in through the grant?
In terms of, I'm not following you.
Is it, are we under contract? with-
Yeah, that'd be a question for you. In terms of when they provide the software, what are the parameters?
So there is no violation. So if we had others, so I've been part of where we had NFHS and other systems like Huddle. I've had 2 cameras going at the same time streaming, never impacted. So there's no violation with it. You know, in regards, like I said, if the broadcasting club wanted to have, we have our YouTube channel. There's no violation of the contract. So they're very wide open with it.
Oh, so essentially we just buy the license and we're good?
They're giving it like, yeah, so there's no fee and no out-of-pocket fees ever. So if if there's an issue with the camera, they're working on the back end with that camera to try to figure it out. If it's not working, they find it's not operable, they're coming in and replacing a brand new one. And there's nothing that's coming up. So tentatively, they have an October 20th week available. So that could be, you know, that week, and I'm gonna run it for like a week and kind of test it. You know, I know we talked about the baseball, softball. I know there's a bad glare that, you know, from the fields. So before we invest, you know, those teams invest, I've had them looking at it in the back end and really what kind of technology, because that sun is right in your eyes, and we don't want to invest that kind of money if you're just going to see a you know, sun right in your eyes every time you're watching on the camera. So
That's fantastic, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Okay, communication from the public on agenda items only? No? Okay. Committee reports, Finance Committee, September 22nd.
That would be me. All right, the Finance Committee met on September 19th. The meeting convened at just after 6:15. 3 items were on the agenda. The first item on the agenda, Strong Elementary. And as many of you know, the traffic flow and parking have historically been an issue over at Strong Elementary. And if you ever drive by there, I'm sure you can see the backup of vehicles onto the street. So pursuant to service by our assistant superintendent as a glorified traffic flag guard over these past couple weeks, there has been a renewed effort in trying to find a solution. And so we received a proposal through the administration for the committee's review and consideration. And we discussed it, we made our recommendations, and we're actually going back for a revised proposal because we think there's an opportunity to make a few improvements and make it as safe as possible for all involved. And so that revised final proposal should be in front of the board at our next meeting on October 9th, so stay tuned for that. Second agenda item was a review of the food service financials, the income statement and balance sheet. The income statement shows a net income of $71,479 as of fiscal year end at June 30th. Currently, we have unaudited financial statements. Those financial statements will be independently audited starting in November. But in the meantime, the administration is developing an equipment replacement plan to keep the school kitchens in good working order and trying to streamline the operation further than it already is. As many of you know, we operate an independent food service operation here in Southington. And here, I will, for the public's information, for FY26, which is our current fiscal financial year, the National School Lunch Program is returning to the pre-COVID reimbursement student meal costs based on their free, reduced, or full pay eligibility. And the 2025-26 applications for free and reduced price meals has been sent out to families and is posted on the school website as well. And families should be receiving notifications through Parent Square as well. And then on to our third item, was the indoor air quality assessments that have been mandated by state legislation coming out of our COVID years. All of our schools within the district will be tested within a 5-year cycle. Currently, for this first year of the cycle, we're looking at testing DePaulo, the Ag Sci building, and Oshana Elementary. And part of what was discussed in committee is we made a financial set aside to pay for that air quality testing. And at the time, that was 2 fiscal years ago. And let me get my numbers here. The monetary set aside, budget set aside was $55,200 per year. Currently, we have 2 years of that budget set aside with the town. So once we start undergoing that mandatory testing, we have the budget allocated to do that. However, what we found out is that the amount that we set aside, that $55,200, that is only covering the testing and balancing of our HVAC and air quality systems within our schools. The other half of that is the engineering and reporting. So we currently undertook a proposal through the administration from the state bid contracting portal to identify both halves of the indoor air quality assessment requirements, both the testing and balancing, and then the engineering and reporting. So again, that's an agenda item that we're currently seeking another proposal to evaluate where pricing is, obviously statewide. This is a mandate for all school districts across the state. So it's a evolving situation, both from a price and budgetary standpoint, but also having received the proposals to see what engineering and indoor air quality firms are capable of doing this work. And that concludes my report. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? No, we're good? No, we're all good. Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Town government communications? Nope. Nothing? Nothing. Apple harvest is coming?
I can't wait.
Okay, just saying.
Apple fritters.
Apple friends. I'll be in the booth the Friday if you want to come visit me. I can't give you anything. I'm just going to be loading the.
You're charging double, aren't you?
Yeah, probably. If it's you, probably. Okay, new business. Looking for a motion, approval of the superintendent's proposed goals for 25, 26.
So
I
moved.
move to approve the superintendent's goals as submitted.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Oh, sorry. You just got, any discussion? Mr. Darrenowski.
I think I had mentioned earlier that the pleasantly surprised, you've finally got which I feel you have a workable set of goals. You've been very aggressive over the last few years, and I've been critical of that, figuring that you were putting too much on your plate and spreading yourself too thin. These are still very difficult goals to achieve. I know you've got great staff, and I know you're going to do very well at it, but I'm very happy that you've listened to reason, me, that you've kept it very concise and to the point. And I think the district will be in a far better place, and so will you.
Okay. Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that you have the, I'll say, evaluation, assessment of our special ed programs as one of your goals. I think it's a really important thing to look at, so thank you for including that.
Okay. Mr. Pazuski.
You know, Mr. Vidancy, you know, every year when you propose your goals, I can't imagine how difficult it is for, especially a school district the size of Southington, where, you know, again, every so many years, we have superintendents turn over, and then we have somebody new comes in. And I want to say in the past 4 years of your service, from starting with the infamous, what was that, 5 pages of goals, and the slow.
Ambitious.
Very ambitious goals, to, you know, again, like slowly but surely clicking them out, honing them in, figuring out where we need more, I guess, attention to. Again, between the administration staff that you've put together, I'm so confident that what you've proposed is definitely achievable, and I look forward to you know, seeing how it goes over this next year. But thank you for everything that you do. Thank you to all your team that supports you, because I know it's not just you, that you have a lot of help on the back end. So thank you.
And I just want to say, you know, I definitely echo those thoughts. You know, Mr. Madansky, you know, for me, you're the only superintendent that, you know, that I know and that I've worked with here on the board. And, you know, sometimes I feel kind of spoiled by that, you know, because I know that there's been, you know, various challenges with prior administrations. And so, one, I want to thank you. And two, I think that moving forward, you finally have an opportunity with your goals as presented, to look forward and design and manage this school district in a way that's true to you, but also true to this board and our community. And I think that's very important. The second thing I'll say is I really value your communication and transparency when and where you can give it. A lot of people don't understand, including people new to this board and the public included, that communication from the administration, specifically from the superintendent, can be very limited by rules, bylaws, legislation, because of the confidentiality that's implicit in the role. And so I just want to say, again, thank you for your communication. I always feel informed, and when and where I have a question, I know that you'll always answer the phone for us. So thank you.
When you started as our superintendent, and Mr. Darrenowski said, you got too many pages, too many goals here. You came in at a time at the back end of COVID, excuse me, that we were trying to recover from. And I've always said it takes at least 18 months to 2 years for somebody to actually feel comfortable in their position and do their job before you actually know what you're doing. And to see your ambitious goals 4 years ago and your goals now that you have, with laser focus, gotten down to where we can move forward, I continue to be impressed. So I am extremely pleased to see that your goals that you have established go with our strategic plan, go with everything that we've been talking about. It's taken us a while to get here, but we're finally moving forward. And for that, I thank you, I thank your staff for the incredible team that you're building and the work that you have done. So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, looking for a motion on the SAA contract.
Recommend approving the tentative agreement between the Southington Board of Education and the Southington Administrators Association.
Second.
Any discussion? Just for clarification, do we have to do a roll call on this? Because it's a
Yes.
we do, okay. So,
Mr. Darrenowski.
Yes.
okay.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Carmody.
Yes.
Mr. Fode.
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski.
Yes.
Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
Yes, motion passes for the contract. Okay, and next, we have a second ratification of the UPSU. I'm looking for a motion.
Recommend approving the tentative agreement between the Southington Board of Education and the United Public Service Employees Union, or UPSU, as presented.
Second.
Mr.
Any discussion? Okay,
Darrenowski.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Carmody.
Yes.
Mr. Fode.
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski.
Yes.
Ye-
Mr. Carson.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark.
yes, motion passes. And I'd like to thank the people that sat on the teams, getting these contracts through to the finish line. I appreciate that. Next item on our agenda is the field turf presentation. So I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Medancy.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a long time coming. If you remember back to last summer, we had several residents and community members, students, after the wait and open, complaining about not being able to use the tennis courts for the local tournament. And we knew it was always on the board's radar that Mr. Romano and his team have done an amazing job at nursing these courts year over year to give our students a home facility to play at. But it is also one of those things that's at the end of its useful life. You can only repair them so long. A lot of it is due to the ground shifting underneath. So every winter brings havoc to the surface, and Mr. Romano's team work their magic. The other challenge we've always had in Southington, this isn't anyone's fault, it's none of the courts were ever built to regulation size. So to have CCC conference tournaments, state tournaments, anything to that effect, we were not able to host because we did not have regulation. And then lastly, the challenge of having 7 courts because, we're a pretty large high school, we have a large team, we play against large schools because of that. If you lose a court, then the matches can take quite some time. And we don't have lighting out there, so it just compounds it. So with that being said, I'm pleased to share that we have a concept tonight. What I'd like to bring this to the board, and the reason why I'm bringing this to the board is I really need you to really just support it as a proof of concept. Because at the end of the day, this is going to be a town project, and we're going to need to have to collaborate with both the town council and the Board of Finance to get it funded. So with that said, if it's proof of concept and I'm able to go to the town council meeting on October 14th, which I've asked them to hold a space for me on the agenda, I'd like to be able to bring this concept to them and say, this is supported by our board. I never want to bring a plan to them that the board hasn't seen or doesn't support. And so this would be a proof of concept this evening. Another twist here, it's something that people said I was a little crazy about a couple years ago, because we know we have had a 23-year parking issue at the high school in the surrounding neighborhoods. The only way you're going to get more parking is to find the space. And so I talked about eliminating one of the currently used fields to add the parking, but in order to eliminate one, you have to replace one. And so the last board meeting, you approved the restoration of the upper field with the tining and the drainage work and all of that. So Field Turf is mobilized, and if they haven't started already, about to start any day now on that project. And with the hopes of teeing that up, that field having it ready so that we can tee this project up for either the spring or the summer after the tennis season is over, to see if we can't finally resolve the long time parking and tennis court issues. So with that said, I will turn over our firm. You hired them to do the engineering and design, and so here is their plan for you. They're going to tell you a little bit about the firm itself and then share the plan with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name's Andrew Dijak. I'm the Vice President for the New England region for Field Turf. With me is Chris Hulk. He's our Director of Design and Construction. He'll introduce himself in a second. Just very quickly want to go over kind of who we were, what we do for work, and then Chris is going to go over the actual design. So Field Turf, although the name says Field Turf, we are a full-service design, build, sports construction company that is all over the country and all over the world. We've done about 25,000 fields or projects over the last 20 years domestically. We focus on anything, any surface that an athlete is going to play on, we provide that surface. And we not only make the surface ourselves, but we also construct all the other infrastructure around it to make sure that surface is the safest and most playable surface you can possibly be on. So I just want a couple of projects that we've done recently in Connecticut. These are all design build projects, and we've also done a lot of tennis courts as well. One thing with the tennis courts, which was mentioned, is that all tennis courts come into disrepair because most of them before, like about 8 or 10 years ago, were all made of asphalt. So asphalt in general has a 1-year warranty on that, and then after they start cracking, they never stop. So our system is done with a technology called post-tension concrete construction. It's like you're building a long span bridge over the areas of the tennis courts, and instead of having a 1-year warranty on an asphalt court, we have a 50-year warranty, 50 warranty on our courts. So you will not have to. We know we're giving you a 50-year warranty because we know it's probably going to last 100 years. And the only thing you'll have to do over those courts over time is resurface them, which you'd have to do that anyway. So saying all that, if you have any questions for either one of us, please interrupt us. But we really appreciate you having us here, and thank you very much for your time.
Great, thanks, Andrew. So I'm Chris Hulk. I'm the Director of Design and Construction. I'm a licensed professional engineer here in Connecticut. Been doing it keeps getting closer and closer to 20 years, but haven't quite hit 20 years yet. So some of the things that we have done with the school is done a pretty good review of the overall site. Obviously, the school is very familiar with some of the hardships that they've had. As we stated a little bit earlier, the courts are not set up to the regulation size. The need to have 7 courts is important. But some of the other things that we noticed that we wanted to make sure that we took into account when looking at the tennis courts is the deficiency in parking, the overall circulation pattern, the ability to get emergency vehicles out onto the athletic surfaces to be able to support athletes for somebody in the bleachers, fire, ambulance, anything like that. and then try to take into account maybe some needs for ADA access improvement. So some of the challenges that the site has is elevation changes between the road and the courts, elevation changes between the courts and the adjacent parking lot and next to the Ag Center. There's a gas service main that comes basically along the left side of the bay of 4 tennis courts there that we have to take that into account. And obviously with a large parking facility on the right side, front side of the school, and a bit of a smaller one on the back side of the school, one of the things that we're trying to limit is the amount of curb cuts that we have within the roadway from a proposed standpoint. The more opportunity you give people to go in and out of the driveway, the more you're actually going to back things up and make things worse. And you know, it really turns into a safety aspect, especially if you get to the end of a game or the end of school or even beginning of school and you have people going every which way. You need to be able to really confine that. So that was something that we took into consideration. So as you can see here, you know, you have the baseball field in top right, tennis courts bottom right, the main stadium field with the bleachers in the middle, grass field to the bottom of that, and then the premier softball field, JV softball field as we kind of go clockwise, and then the upper field, and then practice field in the top left, and then the secondary grass field just to the top side of the stadium field. So we didn't want to look at just trying to solve one problem and then create other problems. So the school asked us to look at this from a kind of a holistic approach, knowing that you're going to be losing a field. How do you make that up? So in the evaluations that we've done in the past, and you know, I think a lot of other people have done these type of evaluations too, typically for one turf field, you need about 3.5 to 4 grass fields to be able to get the same amount of play and serviceability. So for understanding about that, a grass field, you shouldn't really be using it more than, say, 10 to 12 hours a week. Turf field, you know, you're really only limited by daylight, but you can be using it 40, 50 hours a week. The reason you shouldn't be going more than 10 to 12 hours on a grass field is you get overcompaction, you get hard areas, the grass dies, turns into a mud pit, you know, all those kinds of things that go along with it. So right now, knowing that you have 3 grass fields, in doing these proposed improvements, you would be losing one. It would then make sense to potentially do a secondary one as maybe a later phase, but we wanted to make sure that we plan for what that would be as we move forward and kind of hone in on what the design is going to be for the court area. So what we did for the courts is try to get them a little bit away from the current location that they're in, but knowing that that gas main that's there was going to come into play. So what we did was we looked at a bunch of different iterations, and the one that seemed to make the most sense, both from our perspective and going over it with the school, is the bay where there were 4, we're going to end up with 3 tennis courts there, mainly because the current ones are not set to regulation size, so we got to get those to regulation size. And then set it up so that the other courts can still get to 7, and then try to create a really nice traffic flow and ability for people to have kind of an entry feature from the south side. So when you come from the north side of the school, you know, you arrive to the school, you're like, oh, well, there it is, you know. Didn't really get that feeling when you come from the south side. You're kind of just like, oh, I guess I'm here. So we wanted to try to be able to enhance that overall facility approach, knowing that, you know, the school itself is trying to do great things, so we want to make sure that this one is something that goes into that. A couple of things that we were noticing is that to get people to have more access to the main stadium field and to get access to the back grass fields, that by adding one curb cut closest to the softball field, we'd be able to create a nice traffic flow to be able to tie into the existing curb cut that's next to the Ag Center. We did look at some scenarios where we might just come right out into the road and keep them separate, but that created some traffic flow issues and having to have curb cuts that were too close to each other. We tried flipping where the tennis courts, the Bay of 3 is, and moving that over. And that ended up limiting us with parking. So we did look at a bunch of different evaluations of how this one could go. But this one allows us to get, I think it's about 150 or so parking spaces added. It allows us to get 7 regulation-sized tennis courts. We'd be proposing those to be made out of post-tension concrete. We really don't propose asphalt anymore just because, the limiting nature of the survivability of it. We did leave some room in there for stormwater improvements. Whenever you're going from a grass field or something with a high amount of infiltration to something that's a hard surface, you have to have stormwater management. And then we looked at some options for things like maybe an entry feature or something to say like, welcome to Southington or, Southington High School or something like that. So we had kind of like an example, one that we've done in the past in the bottom right there. And then some of the other things little things that the school brought up that we tried to take into account too was the existing visitor bleachers. The backside of those is not wildly aesthetic, but the cost of replacing bleachers is substantial. So what we have seen and done a couple times in the past is, you could put like a nice windscreening or a skirt on that. So kind of like the middle right side there where it says Tate. There's a lot of options to really spruce that up while not having to tear something like that down or try to renovate the whole thing. You can do some nice things like that to it. So really trying to enhance the facility with kind of some niceties, but really try to make sure that we're adding enough parking, creating a good circulation pattern, and then take into account some of the needs for stormwater improvements and things like that. So where some of the revisions that we've kind of started to make, and they're not, wildly wholesale type changes, but, we, on the colored concept, you can see on the kind of top right, there's the entry feature, thinking that if people were coming into the Ag Center, then you kind of see it. But as we had some more meetings and walked through it a little bit more, we thought that, moving that down to the south side, so that is more of an entry feature from the south side, coming up Pleasant, that you kind of see that before you get to the school, and that's your got an acknowledgement that you've arrived. We looked at if there was any need for the ag school to be able to have use of, maybe like a planting bed or something like that in the space that's kind of between the parking and the driveway. While there is space for it, it didn't seem like it was something that they really had a desire for or a need for. But we did try to take into account some of the needs that they might have. So here, as I was saying, we're at about 150 or so parking spaces. We have some really good access improvements for sidewalks to be able to access into the site. And then if you guys are in support of this type of plan, at this, call it kind of schematic design level, 30 to 40% level of plans, then we'll have some more meetings with the school as far as how they're going to do their pickup and drop-off operations, where gates need to go, and those kinds of things, so that we can really hone in what the proposed plan is going to be. But this is kind of where we got to. Before I go over numbers, I just wanted to open up to you guys if you have any questions from the kind of site plan perspective.
Yeah, one question. To the left of the 4 tennis courts, is that the planter that you're talking about? Or what is that? Looks like a donut. Yeah.
The donut guy
that.
here, that's a stormwater basin.
Okay.
And then the purpley guy, dark blue guy here is kind of where we would see the sign.
Okay.
And then, put some nice plantings around it.
And if I'm driving and I miss the driveway, this first driveway, and I go up to the one for the ag side, the existing driveway that we have now, can I go all the way around the ag side building and come into this parking lot? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that we had a good 360 around the whole ag center, mainly for emergency vehicles, and then if that kind of mistake does happen. And
I'm just thinking of students, because I'm thinking, what is that driveway called? It's got a name, and I can't think of what it is, but kids driving on, I'm concerned about kids driving on that and then going behind the ag side.
I think Dom's Way?
Dom's Way, that's
Yeah.
it. Couldn't think of
Yeah,
it.
no, it won't be through there.
Okay, it won't be through there? Okay.
yeah, that was some, a gated access or
Yeah,
something with
yeah.
some more wayfinding signs and those
Okay.
kinds of things, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Sean?
I have a lot of concerns. I guess my primary concern is traffic flow. I guess my first question is the designed parking and driveways associated with that parking. Is that one-way or two-way traffic?
It's set up to accommodate two-way traffic.
Okay. With only utilizing the current driveway cut, curb cut, at the back of the school over by the Ag Side building, the additional 150 parking spots require you to take a left-hand turn within 25 feet, 30 feet of pulling into that driveway?
If you are trying to access that part, I think it's probably a little more like 50 or so feet.
Okay.
But it's, I think, more of a exit opportunity with limited people going in from that side.
Right. So what happens in that area is people are trying to exit that rear parking lot, and now, mind you, this is, you have to keep in mind the time of day that athletic events are happening, right? They're happening immediately after school. So parents, staff, and pickup drop-off is people are trying to exit that rear driveway, okay? And so if you're now requiring traffic to enter into that same driveway that they're exiting from and make a left-hand turn, there are cars lined up in that driveway trying to exit onto Pleasant Street. How have you considered that, and what do you see as a solution?
So the high school gets out at 2:15. I'm not aware of any games that start before 3:45 right now. So they would be long gone by the time the athletic events were starting. Because of the bus issues we have, a lot of the days of them leaving school earlier, coming and participating right after school, because most facilities have lights now, they've been able to push back the start times of athletic events. So the athletic events wouldn't be starting for at least an hour and a half after dismissal.
Okay, and the other aspect of that is administration and staff utilize that back parking lot, and they're not leaving at 2:15.
The staff, by 2:40, they're able to leave contractually. So if you have staff that are staying till 3:15, an extra hour each day. But by and large, that lot usually by 3:15 is pretty much sparse. Yeah. I mean, Joe's been through it. His kids are there.
Okay. I'll accept that for what it's worth, but understand that when you only have, even if you have 50 feet, right, you can only have 4 cars at that stop sign to allow people to make a left-hand turn. If you have one more car than 4 cars at that stop sign, you can't get into the additional parking, which that school sorely needs. So I'll leave it at that. My other concern is that with two-way traffic and parking on both sides, depending on how wide that driveway is designed, you are going to have severe difficulty with people pulling in and pulling out of parking spaces with trying to coordinate with cars coming from both ways. My other concern is that the way this is designed, we're adding additional turns along this parking driveway, which I think could be solved by designing it with an additional curb cut onto Pleasant Street. If you could just talk about those concerns.
Sure. So a lot of those are honestly going to be evaluated and worked out through with the school board about who they're going to let park there. Is it going to be access during the day? You know, when there is a game and people are going to leave, you know, I think this is going to be similar to really any other parking lot that they are familiar with dealing with. It has been designed with 24-foot drive aisle, 18-foot parking spaces. So, you know, I think people would be very familiar with, you know, how the parking operations are going to go there. The other thing that I just want to make clear is while there is access around everywhere, like not everything is going to be open and accessible for everyone to just go wherever they want. You know, there are going to be do not enter signs or limited access or authorized personnel only. So where the parking is, I think the majority of people are just going to go back out to Pleasant Street. And if they are making their way in and kind of from page left to page right, we wanted to make sure that they're not getting up to a speed that is going to allow them to potentially be harmful to people. So the area that's kind of between, you know, adjacent to the 4 sets of courts is really the largest area, being about, you know, 200 to potentially up to 300 feet long there. If we go much longer than that, you know, if it is, you know, students, they're going to be in a position where they could potentially get too high a speed. And we want to try to limit that. And that's why some of those radius points are in there to try to kind of break that up a little bit. And in what we were looking at as far as potentially trying to do another curb cut onto Pleasant Street, there is about a 4 or 5 foot retaining wall that's kind of where the existing courts are now.
Yeah.
So accommodating that would be challenging. And then the thing that we honestly really didn't want to do is we didn't want to allow people from the school portion, kind of closest to the school, have to deal with another exit that would be about 150 feet away. Because what ends up happening is you have somebody that comes in and turns this way, and then they think they're good, and they go, and then you have somebody that's right there, and they don't have enough reaction time to deal with that. So if it does end up being that people are queued up and they have to wait a little bit longer within the parking lot to be able to exit out onto Pleasant Street in a safe manner, it's unfortunately just what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to wait.
I would only add that the two-way traffic that you're talking about on the larger portion of the parking lot, our high school has that right now. The front parking lot is all two-way parking, two-way traffic, every row of the entire lot, and all of those kids are getting dismissed at the same time. So it is a traffic pattern that's already in use up there. This just adds extra spaces to pull the kids out of the neighborhoods.
All right, Joe is next. He had a question.
Well, the statement, then a bit of a question.
Oh.
From like this sky view and everything else, this is excellent. You know, again, I know that this is what you guys do, but talk about a phenomenal utilization of space, running into the issue specifically with the gas main. Again, like there's nothing else that we could really do, right? This gets us, essentially keeps us with our seven courts. It puts us at regulation sizes. It puts us at an opportunity to host competitions now, bigger tournaments. You know, again, like it really does a good job of taking a situation where, again, it's been usable effectively for the past number of years, but now this is something that we know it's going to be good for a long period of time. So this is excellent. I too share a similar concern with Sean, and I understand that this is something that would get hashed out a little bit later on, but I would much rather see potentially, you know, again, that closure of that loop around where the ag building is, and then forcing people to use that as a one-way all the way out to the other side. You know, again, having a discussion, well, maybe instead of doing the straight-on parking or something, do something on an angle, right? Where essentially you can have a queue form, but now it's sort of a forced queue that now runs that whole entire parking lot. I think it would do a much cleaner job and kind of help some of that throughput that, that Sean has, where, again, I do agree that that area does get a little crazy, especially during graduation and
Yeah,
stuff like
for
that.
sure.
Not to mention, this addresses, I think this is exciting for athletics, but this is also exciting for the neighbors and the neighborhoods that surround the school. 151 spaces will definitively eat up a lot of the parking situation that we have on Mandel and Annalise, period. Which is something that we've been continuously geting complaints about. I mean, certainly all my years of being on the board, and I know for probably decades as, you know, Mr. Darrenowski's been on the board longer than I. So I hope that we could sort of view this project as something that we need from an athletics perspective, but something as a town views as a very important investment in order to, again, have safer traffic patterns, do right by our community members or taxpayers to, you know, try and keep their neighborhoods less cluttered.
And all of this still has to go through all the permitting processes with the town in
100%.
terms of the regulations and adherence to the, you know, the traffic laws and patterns and all that. So that will all be fleshed out and make sure that it's shored up.
But again, like the face value of this is fabulous. And I love the fact of, you know, going back to what was said about the, like a grass field, don't get me wrong, you know, when I played lacrosse, I loved being on a grass field, but, you know, realistically, when you have such a sports dense, town like Southington, and again, not any more land to purchase to be able to make new fields, you know, potentially setting something up for the future as far as another turf, I think is a great avenue to start. So thank you.
Cecil, did you?
Yeah, I think it's a great concept too. I just, from dropping kids off 5 years in a row there, can be chaotic. And I've noticed during release times for the high school kids, there's a police officer out there, I believe. So, you know, I think that's consistent with it's already a lot of traffic there. So, you know, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to take a left, like Mr. Carson said, out of there. It's very, I think, going to be difficult during the athletic events. May need some sort of traffic direction there to only go right during a certain amount of time, I think could solve that issue. But also, and I'm just curious, why did you choose to put the parking lot in back? Why not swap out the 4 tennis fields for the parking lot and put the parking lot in front adjacent to Pleasant Street, almost like a commuter parking lot?
So one of the items on that is several, but the grade change between the road and the grass field. We're able to make that up a little bit easier with a grass slope for the tennis courts, which when we push the driveway kind of in more, it allows us to get better ADA accessibility. So the slopes are flatter. The other aspect of that is trying to create a little bit longer queue space on the left side. So if you do, you know, get 4 or 5 people that are sitting there waiting to turn left or right, they have more space there, and they're not, you know, going this way to try to go that way. So that's kind of why we pushed it out there, but it was mainly grades, ADA accessibility, and to try to increase queuing space.
Thank you.
Tonight, we are just, it's the concept. I mean, this isn't set in stone. There can be changes and things.
No, I mean, this is the time to ask the questions
Yeah,
so that
yeah.
if you feel comfortable enough with this as a proof of concept, that I can just bring it to the town council, because the numbers that we're gonna go over next are still, again, all rough estimates. This would have to go out to bid, you know, and you'd have to get, you know, more dialed in terms of what the numbers are, and that's when the rubber really hits the road. But right now, we're at a point that I need to kind of gain some public support for the concept. So, because I think we've been talking about the tennis courts now for almost 3 years.
Mr. Darrenowski?
Yeah, I like the concept. I mean, the layout, I think we could make it work. I still have a concern. I was involved with the building committee when the VOAG was built and the tennis courts were put in. And I know one of the big concerns as to the current design were the utilities. There's a lot of, have they been laid out in your plan yet?
So the main one that's over there is the gas main. That one is
That's a biggie.
so kind of roughly there. So that was the kind of the major factor with the yellow line here.
Okay.
So that was the major factor that we tried to work around. Storm drainage and electrical and those kinds of things. I'm sure there'll be like a little bit of moving that stuff around, but you know, the gas main and main power supplies are the ones that we're trying to accommodate staying in the same spot.
Okay. Because that was the biggest concern that we had
Yeah.
some years back when this was first developed with the VOAG. Was we couldn't get anybody to approve moving those lines.
Yeah.
So we basically had to build around them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, yeah, you end up like with the space you have and then needing another grass field, you know, it's been utilized as well as it could for a long period of time and,
Go into the numbers?
yeah.
I'm good.
Move on here.
We put our arms up like this.
So what we did was try to look at this kind of holistic approach and then a sort of a staged kind of development. So the way that we do majority of our pricing is based on the correct co-op. You know, we will do 20 to 40 fields a year of varying sizes, degrees, and the co-op allows us to do like basically anything that is field related or adjacent to the field to be able to service fields or courts. All that we can do through the co-op. What the co-op is it's a nationally bid predetermined pricing for, you know, all different types of site aspects. So between that and the majority of projects that we've done over the last couple of years, being close to 100 at this point, we always feel really good that our numbers are going to put you in a position where you're not going to go over budget. The thing that we really hate to see is you have a great concept plan and then you start to design stuff and next thing you know, your project that was $1 million is now $2 million. And you're like, well, now how do we fix that? So this is based on nationally competitive bid pricing that we utilize for most of our fields and then you know, our historical uses of many projects. So try to zoom in here. So the first phase there being the parking and access improvements, being in the 1.5 to 1.75 range, that, you know, gets rid of all the topsoil, brings in the necessary parking areas, has, you know, curbing and sidewalks, striping, utilities, all that kind of stuff. There's a good amount of demolition that has to happen with those kinds of things. Then sort of the next one is the tennis courts and grass fields, the budget there. Similar size, oddly enough, the square footages of both amounts turn out to be fairly similar. We did put an alternate in for the tennis court lighting. Sometimes we'll see that people want to just put the bases in and set it up so you can put lighting in the future, but wanted to make sure that we took a look at what lighting would be. Then we looked at you know, what are some of the other potential things that are going to come up with stadium field turf replacement. We did look at potentially doing some ball safety netting there. If anyone's been to a game, you know, they have that kind of droopy netting that's got the big legs on it. We don't really do that anymore. We put it integral into the ground. It allows the nets and stuff to go up and down. It's much more safe and much more permanent. And then looked at what it would be for, you know, a new synthetic turf field out in the back as maybe a phase 2 or phase 3. And again, alternates in there for lighting and some, you know, so improvements to seating there. As any good project should have, you should have some amount of contingency. We usually feel somewhere in the 5% range is adequate. So we did a little bit of range there of 4 to 6. So when you add that up, you know, altogether you could be in the $7 to $8 million range. Knowing that we're going to break this down hopefully into several different phases. Just want to kind of give you the broad approach. As we zoom in, we also broke it down even, you know, further for what each of those budgets was, what each item is that's included in there, if there are any alternates. So for instance, in the parking area, We looked at, well, what if we wanted to do granite curbing instead of maybe concrete? Something more substantial. There'd be an increase in cost and something like that. But our plan is to do, concrete walks and sidewalks to be able to be long lasting and those kinds of things. The other one we looked at is like, well, what happens if you're driving down the road and, maybe we just replace all of the fencing down along the, kind of adjacent to the softball field. There's the 8-foot tall there, the chain link, galvanized. Like, well, if you get to the point where you're like, maybe it makes sense to just get rid of that or spruce it all up, well, let's take a look at what the price would be for something like that. So we included lots of, tried to look at it as much as we could. The description of all the tennis courts is on here. So the site preparation, how the post-tension concrete slab works, how the prime coating works, and then what the perimeter fencing is that's included in the tennis courts, being a 10-foot tall black. We did put some accessories in there for pickleball courts. If you wanted to, do pickleball lines. One thing we'll have to work out with athletics is if you are looking to host competitive, state level events, you probably don't want to have permanent pickleball lines on there. If it's not a major concern and you want to just do something more regionally, you potentially could. So we, put that in the budget for now. And some of the grass field improvements that we were just approved for are in there, with the tennis court lighting as the alternate. So we tried to really look at this from an in-depth establishment of like what these budgets would be. We do feel very strongly that these budgets are going to put you in a position where you are going to have a successful project and not put you in a position where you're going to be scrambling. We were just at one of our national sales meeting, and one of the things that somebody brought up was like, it's like, man, it just seems like everything's just more expensive now. Even if you look at it from 5-10 years ago, and unfortunately, like that is the rationale, and things are challenging. But this is based on our most recent stuff.
So I just want to be clear, I don't plan on going to the town council asking for $8.5 million. We do know, and we asked them to design it in a way that purposely we could do this over several years in phases. We do know since the referendum failed in 2022, we've already actually started work on the athletic facilities in phases. We've done great work to the softball field, installing lighting there, dugouts, resurfacing a lot of that. We've done some grading work on the high school baseball field. We are teed up and ready to replace the bleachers and press box, funded already. And the turf field is also on the doorstep of replacement, the main turf initial field. So these are just projects that would continue over time. So my emphasis will be with the tennis courts, but also if the town has an appeal to the parking and wants to find a creative way to try and support that as well, that would be something that we would certainly appreciate. So my only ask would be to consensus that if you approve it support it as a proof of concept, I will present to them at the October town council meeting.
Okay. So then we're going to look for a consensus. So we'll start. Mr.
Can I just
Jarenow?
ask
Oh,
one
you
more
want to ask a
question?
question? Okay.
So in May, we're having a referendum on the schools. Is there a referendum on this also? And when would that be?
I learned the hard way. I'm not putting the athletic facilities against any other referendum. Last time we did it was against the high school roof, and the roof one. We know we have roofs again in November, so we can't put this on and compete again. And I don't want to compete against the New Kelly Elementary School. And so I think this is something that you can bond up to $1 million without going to referendum, and you can also cash fund. So you could do a $1.5 million project without going to referendum, but there's enough in the general fund that the town council might consider an appropriation of cash fund a portion of it, and bond for the minimum. That would totally be up to them. I mean, I'm really speaking out of my lane at the point by even bringing that up as an idea, but I know those are some of the creative ways that they could get at funding it and making it affordable without passing on any substantial increase to the taxpayers.
And Chris, I have one more design question regarding lighting, because we talk about, lighting at our athletic fields. There's parking adjacent to those courts, both on the right and then on the interior, looking back out to the street. What's the elevation difference between the parking spaces and the courts? Because if you get into night use, you have headlights shining directly onto those court surfaces.
So the bay of 3 would basically be at a similar elevation to what it is now. The bay of 4 would be set down kind of to the elevation of the grass field, may bring it up a smidge. So we would probably end up looking at things like wind screening and things like that to try to.
To block the light, headlights. Okay.
The lighting poles for tennis courts, the ones we have on there are in the range of 40 feet tall. That would be able to light it with LED lights. Not shown on here would be where the parking lot lights go. Those are usually in the 25-foot tall range. But in general, the elevations of the courts now versus the elevations of the field and courts is similar.
Okay, any other questions? All right, so let's, consensus.
I think there's a consensus, so
So Mr. D was yes, Mr. Brown was yes.
Mrs. Carmody,
What?
are you a yes for consensus?
Do I have any questions?
to move forward.
No.
Yes
We're
or
taking, yes or no?
Yes
Yeah,
or no?
We're
I mean,
looking,
you explained it very well, and of course it's needed. I mean, we need the space. I just can't, you're thinking of this going to referendum in when?
no.
No, not going to referendum.
No. What's it gonna be?
Just presenting to the town council as a, see what the appetite to do this would be.
Proof of
I
concept.
think they're gonna give us the money to do this.
In pieces,
This is to
not
have a
all at once.
conversation.
They won't entertain the conversation unless they're confident that the board has seen it and supports it.
Well, it would be wonderful if that could happen.
Okay, so you're a yes.
Yes.
You're a yes, okay.
Yeah, I would, I think.
No, you're a
I
yes.
understand
She's a,
it,
she is a, yeah, okay.
Thank you, thank you.
Oh, here we go. Thanks, Mr. Pepe.
I'm excited about it. I'm a yes.
I'm a yes.
I think this is fabulous, and it does a great job of killing two birds with the proverbial stone, so yes.
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 Okay,
All right, thank you.
have your
No, I
marching
think you're
orders.
gonna
We'll be
need
in
about a
touch
half a
about
dozen
the
stones.
next meeting with town
Yep.
council.
I think you're gonna need a half a dozen stones.
Okay,
Find some big ones.
thank you for the presentation.
Thanks, everybody.
And we're gonna, do you want these back, or?
Could I have one?
Could you sign it for me?
I would like one.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Send me a bill.
Bill.
Phil, you want one? Okay. Okay, so we have a consensus. Thank you all. Public communications, anything from the public?
Yes, my liege.
Anyone from the public? No? Okay.
No, that's fine, we got plenty.
No? Okay. Mr. Darrenowski,
Do you think we're going to study?
do I have a second?
Yes, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We are adjourned.